Have you ever prayed in moments of desperation and wondered, is God even listening? Maybe you were hoping for a miracle, a clear answer, but instead, all you got was silence. Does that mean He isn't there? Or is there something deeper happening? Today, we're going to explore this truth together, and I believe that by the end of this video, your heart will find peace. Picture this: you're sitting alone late at night, your heart weighed down with worries. You whisper a prayer, hoping for a sign, a change, something. But nothing happens. Time passes and you begin to doubt. Has God forgotten me? If you've ever had this thought, you're not alone. So many of us have felt the same way. But take a moment and think, what does the Bible say about this? In Psalm 34 verse 17, it says, "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles." God hears you. He hasn't abandoned you. Just because you don't see an answer right away doesn't mean He's silent. There's a story in the Bible about a woman named Hannah. She prayed for years to have a child. There was a time she cried so desperately in the temple that the priest thought she was drunk. But God didn't ignore her prayer. At the right time, He gave her a son, Samuel, who became one of the greatest prophets in history. This shows us that God always has His timing, and His timing is always perfect. We often expect instant answers, but God doesn't always work that way. Sometimes He's preparing something better, something greater that we just can't see yet. Think of it like this: if a father doesn't give his child candy before dinner, it's not because he doesn't love them. It's because He knows what's best for them. In the same way, God sees the bigger picture and knows what's truly good for us, even when we don't understand it right away. So how do we keep trusting even when it seems like nothing is happening? One of the most important things to remember is that God isn't just listening. He's acting in His way. Sometimes His answer isn't yes or no, but wait, because I have something better. In Jeremiah 29 verse 11, God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." If you're waiting for an answer, trust that God is at work even when you can't see it. A friend of mine went through a really tough season in his life. He lost his job, struggled financially, and felt completely exhausted. He prayed constantly, but nothing seemed to change. But instead of giving up, he kept trusting. One day, he got a job offer that was even better than his last one. Looking back, he realized that if he hadn't lost his old job, he would have never had the opportunity to step into something greater. Sometimes, our prayers aren't answered the way we expect, but that doesn't mean God isn't working. So today, if you're feeling like God is silent, remember, He is there. He is listening. He is preparing the best for you. Keep trusting, keep praying, because God never abandons His children. And there's one more important thing we need to understand. There's something comforting about knowing that God hears us, but let's be honest, waiting for His answer can be one of the hardest things we face. When prayers seem to go unanswered, doubt starts creeping in. Does God really care about me? If He does, why is He making me wait? These are the questions that many of us wrestle with, and if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Waiting is never easy, but have you ever considered that the waiting itself might be part of God's plan? Sometimes, God doesn't just want to give us what we ask for. He wants to prepare us to receive it. Just like a gardener doesn't plant a seed and expect it to grow overnight, God knows that some things take time to develop. Maybe He's strengthening your faith. Maybe He's shaping your character. Or maybe He's setting things in motion behind the scenes in ways you can't see yet. Think about the story of Joseph in the Bible. He was given dreams of greatness, yet instead of stepping right into a position of power, he was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For years, it seemed like everything in his life was falling apart. But what he didn't know was that God was using those difficult years to prepare him for something far greater. When the time was right, Joseph was placed in a position of authority in Egypt, where he saved countless lives, including his own family. What seemed like unanswered prayers were actually God's way of working out something bigger than Joseph could have ever imagined. The same is true for you. You might not see it now, but every moment of waiting is shaping you for what's ahead. Maybe God is teaching you patience. Maybe He's protecting you from something you don't even know about. Or maybe He's working in someone else's life so that when the time comes, everything will fall into place perfectly. But even knowing this, waiting can still be painful. So how do we hold on to faith when it feels like God is silent? One of the most powerful things we can do is to remember God's faithfulness in the past. Think back to a time when you prayed for something, and though it took longer than expected, God eventually came through in ways better than you imagined. Holding on to those moments can help you trust Him in the waiting. Another way is through worship. It might sound strange, but worshiping God in the middle of uncertainty shifts our focus from our problems to His promises. It reminds us that He is still good, still in control, and still working on our behalf. In Acts 16, Paul and Silas were thrown into prison. They could have given into fear and hopelessness, but instead, they chose to sing praises to God. And what happened? A miraculous earthquake opened the prison doors, setting them free. Worship has the power to change our perspective even when our situation hasn't changed yet. And finally, don't stop praying. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, prayer keeps you connected to God. It reminds you that He is still listening, still moving, still working in ways beyond what you can see. In 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 17, it says, "Pray without ceasing." Not because God needs reminders of our needs, but because prayer changes us. It strengthens our faith, aligns our hearts with His, and keeps us close to Him. So if you're in a season of waiting right now, don't lose heart. God hasn't forgotten you. He hasn't ignored you. He is working even in the silence. And when the time is right, you will see His hand move in ways beyond what you ever expected. But there's still one more thing we need to talk about. And here's something we don't often talk about. What if God's answer is no? We believe that God hears us, we trust that He's working, but what if the thing we're praying for never happens? That's where faith is tested the most. Because in those moments, we have to decide, will we trust that God is still good, even when we don't get the answer we wanted? There's a story in the Bible that speaks to this kind of faith. In Daniel 3, 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to bow to an idol even though it meant being thrown into a blazing furnace. They knew God had the power to save them, but here's what they said: "The God we serve is able to deliver us, but even if He does not, we will not serve your gods." Daniel 3 verses 17 to 18. They believed in God's power, but they also trusted His will, even if it meant they wouldn't be rescued. That's the kind of faith God wants us to have. A faith that says, "Lord, I trust you no matter what." And that's not easy. When a door stays closed, when healing doesn't come, when the relationship doesn't get restored, it's painful. But here's what we need to remember: when God says no, it's not rejection. It's redirection. He sees what we can't see. He knows what we don't know. And because He loves us, He will always lead us toward what's best. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. On the night before He was crucified, He prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me." Luke 22 verse 42. In His human pain, He asked if there was another way. But then He said something powerful, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." Even Jesus, the Son of God, surrendered to the Father's will. And because of that surrender, salvation came to the world. So what does this mean for us? It means we can be honest with God about our desires, but we also need to trust Him enough to say, "Not my will, but yours be done." It means that when we don't understand, we still believe that He is good. It means that even in disappointment, we hold on to His promises. Romans 8 verse 28 tells us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." Not some things, all things, even the things we don't understand. And here's the beautiful thing. When we surrender our prayers to God's will, we find peace. Because we're no longer carrying the weight of trying to control everything. We don't have to figure it all out. We just have to trust the one who already has. So if you've been waiting, if you've been wondering if God hears you, know this, He does. If you're still waiting for an answer, trust that His timing is perfect. If His answer is different from what you expected, believe that He has something even greater in store. Because no matter what, He is faithful. And if this message spoke to you today, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your struggles, and your victories. And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content that will encourage your faith. As we close, I want to leave you with this verse, Isaiah 41 verse 10. "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." You are not alone. You are loved. And no matter what you're going through, God is with you.